This is probably going to be one of the most important lessons I try to teach you, and that's the ability to look up a song you want to play online, a chord chart, and play it on your dulcimer. Don't be intimidated, it's a matching game. Typically in music you'll learn how to look at a chord chart and play chords to match it, but for dulcimer we'll take those 7 chords that we know and learn how to make the chord chart work for us. This is a 2-step process. First, we need to identify the key the song's in, and second, we need to translate that to the key we're in. Before we begin, let's review a little music theory, and don't worry, I'll do the heavy lifting for you. The dulcimer usually plays in a key based off a major scale. Every key starts on a different note, but uses the same progression for the scale. This uneven progression results in every scale having its own unique set of notes. Using the notes of the scale, you can make 7 chords. Chords based off the 1st, 4th, and 5th note of the scale create major chords. Chords based off the 2nd, 3rd, and 6th note of the scale create minor chords. And chords based off the 7th note of the scale create diminished chords. For review of this, we've covered the chords for dulcimer in lessons 6 through 8. We often assign numbers to each chord to make it easier to talk about, usually Roman numerals. Now we're ready to get started. If I were you, I would take a screenshot of this chord chart unless you've got it memorized already. Important note, while many songs are written in the bounds of a scale, not every song strictly follows that rule. That's okay, we can do a lot of things to work around these exceptions. To start, we need to find a chord chart. You typically just go online and search name a song, chords. The first site that usually pops up rhymes with sultanatbazaar.com, but there's plenty of others as well. Not every user submitted chart is going to be 100% accurate, but it's okay, there's a rating system, and most of the time, what's there will work for us. Let's start with Old Crow Medicine Show's version of Wagon Wheel. Now it's time for step 1. Let's identify what key the song's chord chart is written for. And here's some helpful tips. If you look at the chart we have, notice that the 4 and 5 chords are always major, and they're 1 note apart, or 1 letter apart. And the 2 and 3 chords are always minor, and they're also 1 letter apart. Now let's look at the chords we have for the song. We've got a G chord, an E minor chord, a C, and a D chord. So we could go straight to the chart and figure out what scale those chords fit into, which is a fair way to do it. But another thing to look at is see how the C and D are both major and they're 1 letter apart. That's likely our 4 and our 5. And that would lead us straight to G as well. So now we need to move on to step 2. So we're assuming that our song is in the key of G. Now we just need to switch it to the key of D. So we're going to transpose, just change the key. Most dulcimers are tuned to D, but not all dulcimers are. That's why it helps to speak in chords in terms of numbers. Either way, what we're going to do is write out the G scale, which is the scale that we think the chord chart's written in, and then we're going to put the D scale under that, which is typically how our dulcimer chords are referred to. So we've got the scales one on top of the other. This is kind of our decoder ring. Now we can see how the chords directly translate. So every time there's a G chord, we're going to play our D shape. Every time there's a C chord, we're going to play our G shape. Every time there is an E minor chord, we'll play our B minor. Lastly, we need to see how it all sounds and see if we're right. Okay, so let's try it. Now let's try it again with Journey's Don't Stop Believing. Step 1, we need to figure out what key it's in, so let's first look at the chords. We're seeing the E chord, we're seeing a B chord, A chord, C sharp minor, and a G sharp minor. We go straight to the chart, or we kind of think about it a bit, and we notice that A and that B are right next to each other. That's that 4 and the 5, the major 4 and the major 5 again, and that'll lead us right to the E scale. So let's write those 2 scales out. And now, if you can think about your chords in terms of numbers in like a 1, 4, 5, and 6 minor, then you might not need to do this part, but it always helps when you start to write the scales one on top of the other. So now you can see how that E will translate to our D, how the C sharp minor will translate to our B minor, how the B is going to translate to our A. And lastly, we're going to test it out. Hopefully this all sinks in, but if you have any questions, put it down in the comment section. I'll be happy to help. I'm here to get you to learn how to play your mountain dulcimer, whether it's one of my lute style dulcimers or your lap style dulcimer. See you the next time.